Well, welcome TCN World. We're delighted to step into your day again to introduce another one of our title sponsors. We're looking forward to our first virtual conference, July 8th, 9th, and 10th. We're just a few days away from kicking that in. And we are very appreciative of the organizations that have been sponsors for the Church Network in-person conference and have stayed with us to support our virtual adventure. I'm delighted today to have on the screen with me Chad and Joel from Churches by Daniels. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Phil, good to be with you.
Yeah.
So Chad, tell us a little bit about Churches by Daniels.
Yeah, so we've been a partner with TCN. I think we're in our 8th year, and we are a architectural design and construction firm. We do projects nationwide, churches that are running to 500 to churches that are running several thousand. And we're going to be talking about growing your impact is our topic this year for our class next Wednesday.
You bet. And Joel, I think that workshop is on Wednesday, isn't it? The 8th at 9 o'clock.
It's Wednesday the 8th at 9 a.m. And, we're really excited to be able to do this class. It's probably our second year we've taught kind of on growing your impact. And so, there's a lot of thoughts around what you think about as a church, especially in these times right now, and what you have to address. And the building's only a small part of that. I think, Chad, you had some stuff you were going to share around the beginnings of that.
Yeah. Just what it means to grow, growing your impact. Most churches that I know of, I think that we all know, they're all interested in growing. I don't know very many churches that aren't interested in growing. And so what does growing your impact mean? Well, the church is a living organism, right? And anything that's living should be growing. And so when we talk about having an impact or growing your impact, we're really talking about what's your influence? Mm-hmm. What kind of influence are you having? And churches need to grow their influence, ultimately. We're the salt of the earth. And so there's some different thoughts, even beyond your facilities, that are directly related to your facilities that we want to talk about next Wednesday. And Joel's going to highlight some of those. Go ahead, Joel, jump in.
Yeah. So, we generally, we're more concerned about your facilities, right? We're a construction firm. We're a design firm. That's what we breathe. That's what we do. We love to help churches be the best they can be in order to reach their vision and their goal. But when you talk about growing your impact, there's a lot more than just your building, right? I mean, you have social media. If you're not doing that, then you're behind. You're behind times. You should be. Not just in the church, in the world in general, but definitely in the church. It's a big way to impact our community. The next thing is community outreach and impact. That's outside the four walls, right? We talk about what we can do inside your four walls, but that's outside the four walls. And definitely, another thing that Chad and I have noticed over the last recent months with COVID and everything else, the churches that we've seen that have a very large community outreach or just are doing community outreach are staying stronger. And it's really important. So those are two ways that really have nothing to do with your building. And lastly, your building, your what you're doing. That's a big way to grow your impact. And I'm reminded of kind of a little, I guess, example would be is if you're thinking of a flock of sheep and they're out grazing on a field. Where do they go to get fed? They go back to the trough. They go back to their caretaker, whoever's pastoring. That's where they go to get fed, so they can go out and reach the community. They go out and reach all those things. Well, that trough is your building, and if your trough is in terrible shape, and if your trough is having issues, if you're not able to attract the sheep to your trough, then you're going to have problems, and you're not going to reach your vision and reach your goals as a church to reach the community. So that's kind of a short snippet. We also talk through what that looks like in our class. We talk through, there's lots of different ways to start. You don't have to step off on a mega project. We encourage a lot of churches to start small. And I think, for example, Chad, you always say, you have to earn trust equity. And so, Chad, you want to say anything about that?
Well, yeah, just the idea of getting small wins, and you don't always have to do. You could do something that's significant, but it doesn't necessarily have to cost millions of dollars. So we want to touch on, the smaller things that you can do in our class, and as well as I'll just kind of highlight some topics, Phil, if it's okay. So we're going to talk about growing your space. We're going to talk about when to grow your physical building, how to prepare your church for expansion, incremental growth. We'll talk some about children's and youth spaces, growing with the times, which is an interesting one right now, growing in your community and outreach efforts like Joel just mentioned. So
yeah, and I think, Phil, you just pulled up the website there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, folks can find more about you at churchesbydaniels.com. And we have that running across the bottom of the screen. And so we really appreciate you continuing to be a strong supporter for churches, for all churches, and particularly for the church network. We still are taking registrations for the conference, tcnconference.com, July the 8th through the 10th. It's a 3-day event. And I know all of you both of you have had a lot of experience being at our conference, and we appreciate that so much. Why might someone want to come to our conference, Chad? Do you have a few thoughts?
This will be our 8th year. So 7 years, on site, first virtual one. But I was sharing with Joel earlier, the value, we partner with several different organizations, but the commitment over a long haul, one of the blessings for me is the relationships that you gain. So I'm thinking of a guy right now working with in Texas that I probably met him 7 years ago, and we're just beginning to have a formal or working relationship. But the Church Network has a lot to offer, a great organization. And again, we've been there for 8 years. I plan on being there for another 8 to 10 years.
Well, thanks, Chad and Joel. We appreciate you being with us today and taking a few minutes, and we appreciate those who have checked in on this. We hope you'll be a part of this conference, and we look forward to seeing you in the virtual center. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.